this is going to be a bit of a different video from my usual stuff. I'm not a repair person, but I've been given this guitar by a friend of mine. There's a problem with the electronics. He said there's nothing coming out of it, and I've checked that's correct. So I thought I'd film the process, even though probably repair people will be throwing up their hands in horror at my process, or procedure rather. But anyway, here goes. First thing I've done is check that the batteries are okay. Obviously they are, but always worth checking anyway. It's a Yamaha guitar, and so it's got a Yamaha box of electronics here. But the first thing I'm going to do is undo the jack socket on the end and check the joints there, the solder joints, make sure there is still a connection, because that's the easiest thing to do. And then later on, assuming that's all okay, I'll probably remove the electronics box and start checking connections in there too. So that's the idea. Okay, well, at first glance this looks perfectly fine. The joints are clean. There's obviously no broken wire or anything. So I would say it's at the moment very unlikely to be anything to do with the jack socket. So as I suspected, I'll have to go into the guitar. So I'm going to leave the jack loose and find somewhere safe to put these screws. So I'll slacken the strings off and then undo these screws to get the electronics box out. Okay, so I've unplugged this little jack, which is the output to the jack socket on the tail of the guitar. This wire here is from the pickup, which I guess is some kind of piezo pickup under the saddle, and then the other two, the red and black here, obviously are the power wires from the battery. So I'm going to get a multimeter and check that the battery voltage is coming into the electronics unit, and I'll probably have to plug a jack into this socket in order to do that, because mostly these things are there's no power going in until the jack socket makes the other half of the connection. This is just to avoid draining batteries when the guitar isn't in use. Okay, there's no on-off switch on the electronics box, which makes me think that yes, plugging the jack into the end pin is the thing which completes the power circuit, but it looks as if there's no power going to the electronics unit, even with everything plugged in. Which doesn't seem right. So I'm going to take the battery box out. As I say, I've checked the batteries themselves, but maybe the connection inside the battery box is not good. Okay, so I hope this shows up on camera. You can see that the batteries are putting out. This is unusual, well, to me anyway. I think I've mostly seen the little 9-volt block batteries, the rectangular blocks. I forget what they are, but this obviously has 2 AA batteries instead, and they're fine. They're just over 3 volts if I'm reading that right upside down. So clearly there's nothing wrong in this bit. So perhaps the problem is the connection inside the battery box. Which, as I say, will mean, I think, having to try and remove it. So I'm going to unplug the lead here. I'm just going to put a cloth over the guitar because these metal bits are quite sharp. Okay. I'll bring the camera and show inside the guitar. So it looks as if when the battery part of this assembly is plugged in, the voltage should be coming to this plug. Whether the jack is plugged into the end pin or not, but perhaps there is some kind of internal switch in the electronics, which means that the battery isn't drained, even though the voltage is arriving at at this junction here. Anyway, I'll first test whether the voltage is coming in. So the batteries are now plugged in, and I'm going to measure if I have 3 volts. Don't know if I can do this with one hand. So we're not getting... Oh yes, we are. Okay, so the voltage is fine. So in theory it's getting to this little plug as well, which I'll also check. I don't think I can do this holding the camera, so I'll do this off camera. Right, so checking the voltage at this plug here, it was down at about 0.1, 0.2 volts, and then when I rechecked on the terminals there, it was the same. So this leads me to think perhaps there's a poor connection between these terminals and whatever they touch on the inside of the box here. So I'm going to get the box out and have a look at that. And I think there are just some tabs on the side, which if I push with a screwdriver, will allow me to just push the box out from the inside. So I'll try and film that. Can't get my hand in, and it's, yeah. Okay, maybe I'll go in through the sound hole. Yes, I can feel the tabs now. As always, it's awkward. It's an awkward angle. Ah, there we go. Right. Oops. Okay, so here's the battery box. And okay, I'll try and bring this to camera. It looks a little corroded. I'm going to clean that up. I'll test it first before I clean it, just to see if I do get the same result, this sort of 0.1, 0.2 volts. Sometimes 3, as I measured at first, but obviously it's a suspicious connection. It's not being made all the time. then I'll clean it up and retest. Okay, so the batteries are now inside, plugged in, and if I test, I don't know if you can see on the camera, try and hold it up, but basically I'm getting almost no voltage, 0.01, it's not zero, so there's obviously a poor connection on the inside, so I'll clean it up. Right, so I've got some contact spray here, which I'll just spray into the box, and then wipe it around with this just bit of paper towel to try and clean it. And while I'm at it, I'll clean the copper terminal here as well. Get that together and let's see. Better. 0.3 volts, but still not 3 volts. So perhaps I need something a little more aggressive on the cleaning front. Yeah, I can see, looking inside, there's still the slight green colour of the corrosion I saw before. So I think I need to get some fine sandpaper in there and you know, just kind of file away at the terminal. Okay, so I found this long machine screw. It's part of some knockdown furniture or something like that, and I've just double stick taped a bit of 600 grit sandpaper onto the end, and I can fit this into the battery box and just gently Okay, I'm not sure if this will come out on the camera, but the shape of the terminal inside is a little uneven, so where I'm sanding is only hitting one part of the contact in there. I think you can see it there, perhaps. Yes. See, there's a sort of boss and knob on the top there, which is being sanded, and the rest isn't. But presumably that's the bit that makes the contact anyway. So I'm also going to clean up the copper contact on the bit that holds the batteries, and then we'll try again. Looks like I might be able to actually take this out, which would make it easier to clean for sure. Or maybe not. No, not without straightening it out. And that would mean rebending when I put it in, and then that might fatigue it enough to break, so I won't do that. I'll just fiddle around like this and hope. If this doesn't work, I'll try some steel wool, which is obviously a bit more flexible and should get in there. I don't want to do that if I don't have to, because there's always the danger of, you know, odd bits of steel breaking off the steel wool and then messing up things inside the guitar later. Okay, let's try again. Okay, that's interesting. That's even worse. Nothing at all. Which means it might be a mechanical thing. Or it's my multimeter. Ah. Okay, it isn't my multimeter. I just tried. So the one battery works. No, stupid boy, you put the battery in the wrong way around. That's why. Okay, now we're in business. 3.2 volts I'm reading. Okay, so now we're getting the right voltage from the battery box. So I think if we plug everything back in, I can do this outside the guitar. Yes. So now I've got some lights showing here. I've just pressed the tuner button. So I think we're back in business. There's a little battery indicator there, and I don't know whether that's a battery test thing, but I don't think so. I assume then that it will glow when the battery is too low and needs changing. So I'm going to put the guitar back together. Actually, I might bring an amplifier out and just test that there's a signal going in. Make sure the pickups are still working. But I think that should be the end of it. Okay, so everything is now plugged in. And we're getting output from the amplifier. So I think we're all good. So I'll put everything back together and call this done. Okay, so all good. Before I give the guitar back, there's just one more thing I wanted to show you. My friend was busking once and found a sort of non-standard coin in the guitar case after his session had finished. And because it was, not usable in any case, he stuck it on the inside of his guitar, just near the sound hole, as you can see. I don't know what the coin is. He thought it might be a British one, but it isn't. I don't know who the head of the person on the coin is, and I can't read the writing. So maybe somebody can comment, and yeah, it's hard for me to get it to focus actually on the. Hang on. There we are. I think that's about as good a view as you'll get. As good as I can make it anyway. So if anybody knows the coin, I'd be interested, and so would my friend, I'm sure. So please comment below. Thanks for watching.